Please note that the views and opinions expressed in this show are those of the DJ and do not reflect the opinions of WMEB, its staff, or the University of Maine.
Hello, I'm Roy Michaels.
And I'm Connor Spencer.
Hello, I'm Roy Michaels.
I'm Connor Spencer.
Roy Michaels here.
Connor Spencer.
Roy Michaels.
Spencer.
And this is the Mystery Hour on WMEB 91.9 FM, Orono, Maine. It's either 11:03 or 11:05. As always, we're broadcasting to you live from the basement of the University of Maine, where each Friday, within this concrete tomb of ours, we delve into the most unknown reaches of our universe and the darkest corners of the human imagination. Tonight is no exception. Joining me in the studio is my co-host, co-director, coordinator, coping mechanism, necromancer, and Connor Spencer.
I'm Connor Spencer.
Lately, our show has received some tough criticism. Would you agree?
I would, absolutely.
You've been tuning in this summer. You may have noticed that we've loosened up a little bit. Humor has infiltrated our broadcast. In this age of quote-unquote fake media, maintaining our journalistic integrity is crucial. Therefore, tonight, we would like to reaffirm our role as a serious talk show about serious things. We are not comedians, and we have come to terms with it. We've tried our hand at a few bits this summer, and let me tell you, they've gone awry.
Yeah, listening to that Hitler bit was like watching a car crash.
It was pretty bad. It was pretty nasty. I think actually we have some footage from it. Let me play it. Anyway, listener, we've brought on an expert for this transmission of the Mystery Hour. Joining us all the way from Portland, Maine, is our good friend and former camp counselor, John McCullough.
Hey, what's up?
Hey.
It's good to have you here.
Yeah, it's good to see you guys again.
It's all right. So, bring your radio outside and listen to it in a thicket of pines under the full moon's light, because we are going to a place of wendigos, witches, and werewolves as we share our favorite campfire tales. It's gonna be spooky. Connor, this is supposed to be campfire music. I think
Yeah, I don't know
you
what
sent
happened.
me the wrong file.
I sent you 2 links.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
What is this?
It is a terrific song by our friend Robbie, I believe.
This
No
is
way,
really
really?
good.
Yeah.
Let me
I
see
didn't know
if
he was this good.
we can get the right link.
He is that good. Is this not what campfires sound like?
No, this is, I believe, dndlore.wav. Our co-host Robert Keane is role-playing as a bard tomorrow night, and he made this song, I believe, to intro his character.
I like the dedication.
Oh, let's get into it. What's going on with these marshmallows?
Yeah, did you bring the Hershey's bars?
I got some graham crackers. I think John had the.
Did you bring them?
Listen, all I know is that I am actually the best at making them golden brown.
I know you are. I know you are.
I
I've
spent a
seen
lot
him
of
do
time
it.
working on it. Like,
Yeah,
it's patience.
yeah. It takes patience, but he's got it.
A lot of people just want to stick it right in there. You
Mhm.
can't do that.
You know what you've got? You've got the knack, the golden brown knack.
Yeah.
Learned it from my dad.
I love your dad.
Yeah, I know. He's good for like any situation.
Yeah,
This is pretty. Okay.
he's like an omni tool of men.
He's the every man. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, let me add some gasoline to this fire.
He's got the
Oh!
knack.
Oh, there we go.
Oh,
Wow.
You just throw some logs in there.
I threw in some birch and Doritos.
That's all we ever needed.
What I like to do is, here's my strategy. I throw a few potato. I forgot what they're called for a second. Potato chips
Mhm.
in there because
Yeah.
they're oily, you know,
Hmm?
and that gets it started right quick.
You know how you shouldn't stop an oil fire?
How?
With water. Don't
Yeah,
use
you
water
want
on
to
oil
use
fire.
is it baking soda or is it baking powder?
I
always
think
forget.
I think it's baking powder.
Why are you guys
Yeah.
Water
talking
just kind
about
of spread it.
killing this beautiful fire we have?
Oh no!
Because we're
no.
outside in the woods, in nature.
Well, you don't want to
under
leave
some
it going all
pine
night.
trees.
You know, the number one cause of forest fires is human beings.
Yeah. They should round this all up in a truck or something.
Yeah.
Hey, where are you talking? You had a ghost story.
Oh, yeah. Well, so it's not exactly, it's not a ghost story at all. Actually, this is it's a true scary story that like really happened, and it's not so much a scary story so much as it is one man's obsession with a scary story. So you guys know that I used to work at this camp, right? You know, the residential camp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and everyone who worked there knew the legend of Shadow Man. Shadow Man was a legend concocted by counselors to give their campers a good scare before bed. He, of course, was a shadowy figure that only came out at night but could observe the goings-on of everyday life at camp. He was the perfect scary story because he made campers wonder during the day if he was watching and terrified at night that he was with them. And like all scary stories, everyone eventually came to terms with the fact that it was just that, a story. However, this is another tale of the counselor that wanted to make Shadow Man a reality. You see, every so often, counselors get evenings off at their residential camps to do whatever catches their fancy. Some sit on the porch and catch up with social media. Some go to the fields to stargaze. One counselor dared to bring the myth to life. This was the night that the oldest cabins went out into the woods to spend that night camping. They would make their own dinner over a fire, roast some marshmallows, tell scary stories. The usual camp experience. Only they didn't realize their evening was going to take a turn for the worse over one counselor's desire to deliver the most brutal case of fear that would forever ban the telling of Shadow Man and any other scary story from camp for the rest of time. As the night drew to a close, and there were only a few smoldering embers left in the fire, the campers began setting up for bed while the counselors on the trip put away the leftover food. As everyone settles in for the evening, they begin to hear small noises in the woods. At first, the campers and counselors think of it as, just the run-of-the-mill noises that accompany, camping in the woods. A squirrel here, a frog there. However, over the course of several minutes, the noises are getting louder and more abstract. Soon after, they could no longer rationalize what sounded like an axe striking a tree. As the noises continued for what seemed like an hour, they stopped just as suddenly. From here, things only got worse. The next sound they heard was the sound of a man screaming, followed by the same axe hitting a tree, only with more immense force. At this point, it's no longer campers that are freaked out, but the counselors are on their phones calling the director of the camp. The director was on his way, but he would not be fast enough to stop the years of fear that would follow the evening this group of people would go through. Only minutes before the director showed up, the sound of an axe hitting a tree and a man screaming was replaced by the sound of an axe hitting something else. The noise would be indescribable unless you spent time working in a slaughterhouse. Just seconds now, before the director arrived, something was thrown into the campsite. It landed with a soft but prominent thud as it landed near a slowly dying fire. Although the light was faint, it was just enough to make out the shape of a human hand. As the campers and counselors screamed in horror, as the director arrived with a shotgun, the director heard a laugh from only a few yards away. As he drew closer, he looked on in horror, as he saw one of his own counselors bleeding and chuckling as he bled out. Just as the ambulance arrives, the man who brought the myth to life said with his dying breath, "Finally, I've wanted to do this for years."
Wow. Are you trying to ruin our night?
Yeah, I've got chills. That was very well told, by the way.
Thank you. It does help that I'm nursing a small cold, so it makes my voice a little raspier.
I'm also nursing a small cold, although I believe that my lungs are filled with mold. I'm full of poison, boys.
You got a mold cold?
Connor, could you actually reach into the fire and grab yourself a hot log and jam it down my throat?
I'm against that, to be honest. John?
Yeah, I mean, I could do it, but I didn't bring my fire holding gloves.
Yeah, fire holding gloves.
Yeah, they're called turtle gloves because they're really tough. They're mostly used for picking up sharps containers.
Hey, what happened to that man?
What man?
The shadow man, the counselor that went off the rails.
He died later that night.
Oh. What about the hand?
The hand was disposed of with the body. His family wanted him cremated. They seemed it fitting.
Did it sound like this?
No.
All right.
Hey, can you pass me another marshmallow, Roy?
No, because it's time for a break. I'm Roy Michaels, joined by Connor and John, and this is the Mystery Hour on WMEB 91.9 FM, Orono, Maine. It's 11:20.
the best 60s soul music east of Pittsburgh, north of Philadelphia, tune in to The Bud Show, Thursday mornings, 7 to 9. Songs and artists you know, and many you don't, from music's greatest decade. Playlists available on The Bud Show Facebook page.
The Bud Show, Thursday mornings 7 to 9 on WMEB 91.9 FM, Orono, Maine. Or underground, literally.
What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong?
Hello and welcome back. I'm Roy Michaels, and this is the Mystery Hour on WMEB 91.9 FM, Orono, Maine. It's 11:25, and there's a fire in the studio. No, we're having a campfire with campfire stories.
That we are.
Speaking of campfires.
What is funny? First off, John doesn't like our bumper music.
What bumper music?
Do 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 do. Do you know that music?
What are you talking about?
Listen, when I listen late at night, and I'm just in my bed with my earbuds in, and I just hear that like intro music after you guys take a break, and it just like freaks me out a little bit. I agree, it fits perfectly, but it's just too much for me.
It is creepy. I understand.
I don't know what you are talking about because we've been in the woods. We're having a campfire, just a couple of friends
telling stories.
We're telling stories around the campfire.
Roasting some mallows.
Can you pass me a marshmallow now that the break is over?
Yeah. Here you go.
Thank you.
The trick to roasting a good marshmallow, you put it on your stick, and you put it just a little bit. Look what I'm doing. You following?
Yeah.
I'm rotating it slowly around, getting each side, just letting the flames lick it. Letting those little flames have a little taste. Now it's browning. It's browning like a bear's belly. That's when you know it's good. John, would you like to eat this?
Yeah, please. Can you pass it over?
Yep.
Oh, how is it?
That's just right.
Really good.
So, I think I've got a story for you guys, for our listeners.
Well, it better not be scary.
Around the fire, it's a little bit scary.
Because we're out here.
Please.
We drove about like 40 to 45 minutes from Orono to get to this campfire
to
tonight.
the deep woods.
The deep woods.
45
There are
minutes away.
coyotes and bats and owls.
Yeah. You ready?
I guess.
All right, let's see.
You okay?
Okay,
What'd you do?
I just burnt myself.
stop, drop, and roll.
Really bad. I don't.
Are you
I
on
should-
fire?
No, but I reached into the fire. I dropped my marshmallow,
Oh no.
and I don't actually know if I'm gonna be okay.
Oh, you tried to pick the marshmallow out again?
I've got like burns all the way up my forearm
well,
and my 5 arm.
we are 100
It was
miles
bad. I'm sorry.
from the nearest hospital. There's no help for you, Connor.
Anyway, I'm just gonna deal with it. I've got a story to tell. When you've got friends around the fire who need a story, you can't just not tell. It doesn't matter what's happened to you.
John, could you pass me a non-alcoholic beverage?
Yeah, of course. Here you go.
Thank you.
What is that? Is that Moxie? Is that Maine's state drink?
No.
Moxie?
You bet it is.
Nice. Okay, anyway. So this is a story that happened to me.
You personally?
Yeah. So when I was a kid, my dad and I used to go night fishing. He claimed that the best fishing started at dusk. I don't know if that's true, but when I was young, I took his word for it. Most of those nights out fishing were pretty uneventful, but there was one night in particular that I'll never forget. It was early July. We were out in the middle of Alligator Lake looking to grab some white perch. It was getting late, probably around midnight. We hadn't caught a thing and we figured it was time to pack up and row back to shore. My dad dragged the boat into the bed of the truck while I carried the smaller stuff. We got in the truck to leave, and of course, it didn't start. Now, here's the thing about my dad. Thank you for the sound effects. Here's the thing about my dad. He's kind of a jerk. I mean, he's a good guy, but he likes to cause trouble for people. And unfortunately, that night, I was the target. He's also kind of lazy. So, he told me I had to walk back to camp and grab our second truck. Yeah, I was only 10, but up at camp, it doesn't matter. It was probably only about a mile to our camp, but it seemed like it took forever. I'm sure you all remember what it was like exploring the woods as a kid. Every tree looked like a grotesque creature, its arms reaching toward me. And every rock looked like a beast, ready to devour me. What is this music? I managed well enough at first. I knew I was just being paranoid, but fear has a way of building up, especially in the dark, alone. I was near the breaking point. Then, as if things weren't bad enough, I heard something behind me. I wasn't sure in the moment what it was, or even that I'd really heard anything, but I absolutely knew there was something behind me. I could feel it. I knew that it wasn't just baseless, natural fear. Soon after, I heard it again, this time more clear. It sounded like someone in a lot of pain. I couldn't stand it anymore. I started running as fast as I could, but the sound kept getting louder and louder, like it was following me, getting closer. The longer I ran, the better I could make out the sound. It was someone. It sounded kind of like a man crying out for help, but it didn't sound quite human. The cadence was off, like it was trying to mimic human speech, and it was chasing me. By the time I made it to our camp, I could hear it so clearly that I knew it was right behind me. I felt like I was about to collapse, but I forced myself to sprint the last few meters to our second truck. I jumped in and locked the doors, expecting whatever it was to slam against the window, rip off the door, or God knows what. But nothing happened, and the sound was gone too. I didn't see anything out of the ordinary on the drive back to my dad, nor have I ever seen anything like what I saw that night in all the years I've been out in the woods since. I don't know, maybe I just imagined it, but I don't think so. As far as I'm concerned, whatever that thing was is still out there. So if you're ever out night fishing on an early July night like tonight, watch your back and be wary of calls for help.
Did your dad hear anything?
No, that's the thing. I told him about it, and he didn't hear anything, and he told me I was just being a scared kid. You know how dads are.
Yeah.
One time, we were playing hide and seek in the woods by the high school, and we heard a call for help from the forest, from deeper within. It sounded like a woman screaming in terror, and we decided to investigate, and we found nothing. In all likelihood, it was a fox.
Oh, yeah. They do sound like that.
I remember this. I was there.
Why
You
are-
there? Yeah, I was there.
Why are foxes the scariest animal?
It really did sound like a woman screaming.
It did. It was horrifying. I thought, this is it. We are either going to live as heroes or die as heroes.
Those are the only options.
I do think a group of 4 of the 5 high school kids could stop a murder. I really do. But that's because I like the Goonies and It,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo. You know what? That reminds me of Scooby-Doo. You know, when all the kids, they go to those old houses and try to solve crimes, homicides, and whatnot. Reminds me of a ghost story I have with me.
Let's hear it. Hey, John,
Here?
can you pass me those bandages and some of that the anti-burn cream?
Yeah, sure. You want to pass the root beer?
Yeah, do you want Bargs?
Yes, of course.
Here you go.
A couple of years ago,
You just downed that in like 3 gulps.
you just shotgun that Barks.
You
You
did.
better be careful. Barks has bite. You know, I'm sure glad we were in the woods together, us friends. But if we were at WMEB 91.9 FM, Orono, Maine, it would be 11:35. I'm Roy Michaels, and this is the Mystery Hour. A couple of years ago, a friend of mine was pet sitting and asked me if I wanted to hang out. I agreed because I knew the home and understood why she would prefer company. It was one of those old gargantuan farmhouses, and it sat at the end of a long dirt driveway with the forest at its back. It was the kind of house with creaky floorboards, flapping shutters, cobwebs. We watched a couple of movies with the family dog, and while I do enjoy the Goonies, a certain unease crept up on me. I couldn't shake the notion that, other than the spot we occupied, every other room in the house was empty and dark. When the early hours of the morning crept up on us, part of me began to regret my decision to sleep in the guest room. The guest bedroom was as horrible as I imagined. Facing the bed was an old wooden wardrobe. Everything was wood. Old wood and ominous, scary wood surrounded me like a forest as I lay in bed. Eventually I sunk, like a frog in quick dirt, into a deep and dark slumber. I dreamt of the guest bedroom, and at the threshold of the door, I saw the silhouette of a woman in a dress. And then my friend had her hands on my shoulders and was asking me if I was okay. I'd been screaming in my sleep. I apologized and again fell asleep. This time I had a similar dream. I was in the room, but the bed was gone. Instead, I was frozen on the wall facing the wardrobe. My feet were just a few inches above the ground, and I was unable to move. The wardrobe unlatched, producing a sound that to this day still sends shivers up my spine. Without a sound, the doors slowly opened, and as the moonlight began to reveal its contents, I was consumed by dread, as if someone was squeezing the pit of my stomach. I saw her face and awoke out of breath, covered in sweat. This time, I did not have the luxury of my friend's comfort. I was alone. In the empty room, sat upright with my back pressed against the bed frame so I could keep my eyes on the wardrobe. I do not remember when I fell asleep. I kept the nature of my nightmares to myself. Like all trauma in my life, I buried it somewhere deep and remote within the gray matter of my head. Until one day, I was hanging out with a friend that once lived in that home for most of her life. And we were talking, normal stuff. And eventually we got the ghosts, like every good conversation does. And she mentioned that throughout the history of the home, people have been seeing a presence. They would hear sounds and often would attribute them to the apparition of a woman in a black dress. Legend has it, she did not take kindly to male guests in the home. The end.
Whoa.
Good one.
Yeah, I just saw a straight up shadow person.
Do you guys ever notice, however, when we start one of our stories, the fire kind of dims a bit?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's windy.
Well, that's still weird if the wind picks up whenever we start a story.
Yeah. Well, it's Lovecraftian wind.
Yeah.
It serves the narrative.
It's blowing in from Innsmouth.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the wind that's giving me the goosebumps or like these stories, so.
I think it's my hand that's been on your lower back this entire time. I thought you were...
I thought that was Connor.
It's a me.
You're so far away.
Wait. So no one has their hand on my back?
It's 11:40. And this is the Mystery Hour on WMEB 91.9 FM, Orono, Maine. College radio in a class by itself. I'm Roy Michaels. See you in about 5 or so minutes.
My name is Ruth Rusi. I volunteer with United Way, reading to children to help prepare them for a better academic future. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Oh, hey. I'm Roy Michaels. It's 11:46 or 11:43, and this is WMEB 91.9 FM, Orono, Maine. And this is also the Mystery Hour. And tonight, oh boy, if you are just tuning in, welcome to Campfire Tales. Oh. The woods is alive with music. The reports had been on the radio all day, though she hadn't paid much attention to them. Some crazy man had escaped from the state asylum. They were calling him the Hook Man, since he had lost his right arm and had replaced it with a hook. He was a killer, and everyone in the region was warned to keep watch and report anything suspicious. But this didn't interest her. She was more worried about what to wear on her date.
And after several consultation calls with friends, she chose a blue outfit in the very latest style and was ready and waiting on the porch when her boyfriend came to pick her up in his car. They went to a drive-in movie with another couple, then dropped them off and went parking in the local lover's lane. The blue outfit was a hit, as she cuddled close to her boyfriend as they kissed to the sound of romantic music on the radio.
Don't you forget about me.
Then the announcer came on and repeated the warning she had heard that afternoon. An insane killer with a hook in place of his right hand was loose in the area. Suddenly, the dark, moonless night didn't seem so romantic to her. The lover's lane was secluded and off the beaten track. A perfect spot for a deranged madman to lurk, she thought, pushing her amorous boyfriend away.
Maybe we should, get out of here. The Hook Man sounds dangerous.
Ah, come on, babe, it's nothing, her boyfriend said, trying to get in another kiss. She pushed him away to go.
No, really. We're all alone out here. I'm scared, she said.
They argued for a moment, then the car shook a bit, as if something or someone had touched it. She gave a shriek. Ah! And said,
"Get us out of here now!" Jeez, her boyfriend said in disgust. But he turned the key and went roaring out the lover's lane with screeching in his tires.
They drove home in stony silence.
what are they, my parents?
And when they pulled into her driveway, he refused to help her out of the car.
Not today.
He was being so unreasonable, she fumed to herself. She opened the door indignantly. What? She opened the door indignantly and stepped into her driveway with her chin up and her lips set. Whirling around, she slammed the door as hard as she could, and then she screamed.
her boyfriend leapt out of the car and caught her in his arms.
What is it? What's wrong?
He shouted. Then he saw it. A bloody hook hung from the handle of the passenger side door. That's the hook, man. He got them. They owe that gentleman a hook. I actually dabble in the hook arm trade. I don't know if you know this or not.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so what I did is I basically hire high schoolers and I dress them up all real cute and stuff, and I drive them to Lover's Lane. I can't say that. It's a real shame I destroyed the car crash audio we played earlier. Basically what I'm saying is we go to places, like moths to a flame, the hookmen come to the cute teenagers' cars. What's so scary about the woods anyway? Why do we get so scared out here?
The hook arm business is going to be tough these days with the advent of, like, mechanical arms, right?
That's not a thing yet.
You also got to kind of think that
Kind of
maybe me a little bit, but like you might think that like some like Captain James Hook from Peter Pan like impersonators might be going for a few.
That's true, but that's a pretty niche market, right? You don't see a lot of people with hook arms nowadays.
I don't know where you're looking, but I'm seeing plenty.
Oh, I mean, I'll take your word for it.
You don't live in Portland. You don't know.
I actually
Yeah,
see,
very diverse bunch of people there in Portland. Sorry, Roy.
Oh well, I was just gonna say I see plenty of hook-handed individuals, but I mostly poke around in monkey barrels.
Ooh. Go on.
So that's the joke. Barrel of monkeys.
Can you imagine you're a guy, you have a hook arm, right?
Yeah.
And you're always every time you go to open someone's car door, it's like hanging on there, you're scaring people. Like, what a terrible way to live.
Well, in a past life, I was a hook-handed individual. And I was in Manhattan. I went to Trump Tower, and out in the front, I don't know if you've seen Home Alone 2 or not.
Yeah.
There is a revolving door, and I grabbed it, and it took my armor away from me.
Oh.
And it came around and smacked me in the face. And then I was arrested for trespassing.
A lot of gore in
Yeah.
that movie.
Yeah, too much
Much gore.
So we're out here in the woods, and it's inherently spooky. Your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely spooky and definitely inherently. Like a Robbie clip for you. Gotta fill in the void.
Hey, I have a
'cause he's
question.
gone.
Are you recording this episode?
I am.
What do you plan on doing with it?
Uploading it.
Maybe delete it.
It's a good episode.
Yeah.
I don't know what you mean recording. We're out here in the woods. We're by a campfire.
Well, John was about to play us the Ocarina of Time theme on his recorder.
Was he?
John?
Okay.
That's all that wood smoke in his lungs. He can't play as well. One time though, remember when we were out at your camp and Robbie's camp, and we had a near-death encounter.
Ah, yeah. He was on. He pulled up. What time was it, John? Pretty late.
Yeah, it was pretty late. It was I want to say like 10:30 maybe.
Yeah, he pulled up on a 4-wheeler.
Yeah.
And he was asking it was just saying hi.
Yeah, I was just saying hi. He hadn't seen us there before. He's been there for a while. I think his name is Tom.
Ah, yeah, that was his name. Now our friend Robbie thought this was quite scary and inappropriate, and John and I here, we don't really think so. We think that's pretty normal for people up to camp to drop in and say hi every now and then.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who has a camp knows that like you're your own community in that campsite, right? Like there's cabin
But
here,
his
there's cabin
camp
there.
isn't
Everyone likes
necessarily
to-
a campsite. It's just a bunch of trees. It's very remote. I'm pretty sure a cult lives nearby. I don't know if you've seen their farm, but it looks a lot like the Branch Davidians compound from the famous
I don't know
Waco,
about that.
Texas siege.
I mean, there's a lot of camps around. It's got a camp community going.
You know, I actually drove by that farm on the latest trip to Robbie's camp, and I actually stopped in because they were like a good group of them were outside by their mailbox just having a chat, and I actually stopped and I rolled down my window to say hi. And we had like a really nice conversation. They have a lot of animals. I think they have like 6 dogs, a couple of horses. They have a goat.
You want me to apologize?
I think you should apologize. There's a lot of nice people living out there.
I mean, I think Robbie, you're kind of judging people before you even get to know them. I mean, Tom was there just to say hi. Like he hadn't seen us there before. He was just going to pick up his buddy, like from work. Like he was just going to go and like stop in and say hi. And yeah, I think Robbie flew off the rails a little bit.
I don't know.
Yeah, Robbie flew off the rails. Not to interrupt you, but to interrupt you. He flew off the rail. He derailed, don't you think, John? And he was reaching for like an axe. Like he was getting in a defensive position.
Yeah, and even more so, I think Evan, like not during the moment, but after the fact, was the most freaked out.
Yeah, and people think Evan's smart, but from what I saw that night, I'm not so sure. Am I right?
Are you just using our platform to trash talk our friends?
Yeah, but this does not reflect the views of UMO, WMEB.
It does reflect the views, however, of Roy
reflects my
Michaels,
views,
Connor,
yeah.
and John McCullough.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Whoa, why are you using my last name?
Now, speaking of
Mac
Robbie,
Johnson?
he was supposed to call in, and we've been hornswoggled.
I don't
because
think we can
he
riff
didn't.
much longer.
I think we can. So, what do you think was chasing me? You think it was a goat man in my story? It was making a noise like a call for help, but it didn't sound quite human.
Lots of woodland creatures use mimicry.
I think the real question is, why didn't you just help him?
Well, that's my biggest fear, is that it wasn't a monster. Someone just really needed my help, and I just ran away. You know?
Is that what keeps
That
you-
reminds me of a story. A long time ago, my older sister went out with a couple of friends to a spot in the woods. It was a clearing where they could drive in and park their cars. A common place for pit parties. And while they were out there, I think I made a mistake with like the sci-fi music.
No, it's good. Keep going.
Yeah.
Well, while they were out there, they heard screaming in the woods, and they thought, that's probably a fox. Let's not check it out. Plus, everything's boggy, we can't really go through the bush to get to them. So they left, and the next day on the news, they found out that someone had been murdered within a mile radius of them. So moral of the story, Connor, you might have some blood on your hands.
It's possible. The thing is, who if you really need help, if you're that hurt, if you're in that much pain, can you really chase after someone who's running for their life? That's what makes me feel a bit better.
Okay, so no. When you're really scared or really hurt, your body invokes the flight or fight response, right? So that's when everything's heightened. Like your strength is heightened, you're faster, you're stronger, because all the blood is rushing to your limbs, toward your torso to protect your body, and it's either fight or flight, man. So it seemed like they were in the mix of the two. They were kind of running right at you, trying to get some help, and you literally got in a truck and drove away.
Now, fight or flight, is that either you fight or you fly away? Can you explain further?
No, flight in this context is running away.
Okay. That actually makes a lot of sense. Sorry. I mean, they say there's no stupid questions, right?
Yeah, I mean, don't apologize to me. You should really apologize to the person that needed your help the most at that moment.
If you're out there I'm sorry.
Call
I ran away when you
for
needed
help.
me. If you're listening
Call
to
for
the
help.
if you're listening to the show right now, if I left you out there in the woods, call in. What's the number, Roy? These last few minutes.
207-581-2333.
Is that beef?
I guess so.
If you're out there and you're listening, give us a call, and I'll apologize, I guess, or whatever.
Yep. Well, Sean Kilpatrick and Jimmy Ozog composed several original tracks for this episode, so a big thank you to them.
Thanks, guys.
The other tracks you heard in order were Hidden Track by The Black Lips and Vermin by Waves. Robo DJ will be handling your music needs shortly, but first we're going to give you a little dead man's bones.
I'm Connor Spencer.
That's right. I hope when you're enjoying your summer out in the woods, I hope that you don't get eaten by anything. Whether it's bugs, or wendigos, werewolves, or humans. Everything's going wrong. I'm going to bed. What is happening?
You want to give Roy a hand?
Thank you. When you're out adventuring, don't get eaten by anything, whether it's bugs, or wendigos, or werewolves, humans, or otherwise. I'm Roy Michaels with Connor and John, and this has been the Mystery Hour on WMEB 91.9 FM, Orono, Maine. It's midnight 01. See you next week.